Hello, Bay Area. How are you doing? The smoke is clearing. Let's breathe now. Welcome to another episode of Ask Me Anything. Let's get started. First question. I'm a legal resident in Canada. If I die, will the bank in the US block my account or can my son take money out immediately? The hard part here is if you're in Canada, your assets are going to be frozen. I mean, when you die, the bank isn't just going to let anyone have access to the account. So the question I have for you is your son actually the one taking care of the account or is someone else taking care of the account? Do you have a trust set up holding that account? So first thing is when you're a foreigner or you have beneficiaries that are foreigners, when money needs to come out, there's something called a withholding tax. So if you die in your bank account, it's not going to be frozen, but if someone else other than you tries to take money out, the bank might have a few questions. The bank might want to see a little bit more details or documentation. So I don't think it's going to be something where your son or your family members can get the money out ASAP. If you do set up a trust, there is a way where you can have the account owned by the trust and whoever the successor trustees are, they can take care of it. And yeah, there might be some withholding tax or something on the trust side, especially if your beneficiaries are not US citizens, but there are foreigners. So that is something you can look into, but I wouldn't just make an assumption that being a Canada resident, having a US bank account, that if something happens to you, the US is just gonna let that money go freely. I think you need to do a little bit more planning from there, okay? Next question. Is there a form that I could fill out stating I don't want any of my husband's money if he should pass and it should go to our kids? Yeah, there are things you can do. The form is called a will or a trust. If something happens to you, you can literally write it in your will or your trust that if anything happens to your husband, he can write a will saying all the assets go to the kids and not you. Or same thing with a trust. If something happens to the husband, all the assets go to the kids and not you. And you can totally be happy with that and not make a ruckus. However, if let's say your husband has passed away and you're about to inherit something, legally, you have a right to disclaim assets, but you have a certain time period to be able to do that. So if you're in a community property state like California and something happens to your spouse and all that community property comes to you, or the husband's separate property comes to you, if you don't want those assets, you have 9 months from the time of your husband's passing in order to disclaim it so it's not counted as part of your estate. If you do any disclaimer, if you give assets away after that 9-month period, then it's going to be considered a gift and it's going to be counted against your own individual estate. So there is a period of time where you can disclaim assets from an inheritance. Anyone can do this, by the way. It doesn't have to just be you because you're a spouse. If the kids are getting an inheritance from uncle or grandfather, I know a lot might be thinking, why would you ever disclaim an inheritance? That's so stupid, right? I think that, but there are some people that are already making a very good salary or they already have a high net worth and inheriting a lot more money or something can put them over those tax levels, which are uncomfortable, right? So instead, they're willing to just disclaim it and let it go down to whoever else the remainder beneficiaries are. So if you and your husband have a joint trust and then you inherit from your husband, you can disclaim the assets. And what happens when you disclaim, it's as if you predeceased your husband. So when everything is supposed to go to you, even under law, then we're going to ignore you and we're going to see who's next. So if you have children, your children will be next. If you don't have children, that might be something a little different than what you want to actually have happen. So my best advice when you think you're going to do something like this is if your husband's still alive, set up a trust, okay? Have both of your assets and all your belongings inside of that trust. And then upon your deaths, instead of having you disclaim and being under a timeline, we can keep it organized and already allow your husband's assets to go into a family trust that has the option of taking care of you if you think you need the money in life, and it can also take care of your beneficiaries. This way, when you're disclaiming assets from your husband that you don't want, they're not going directly to your children in their pockets. You still have a little more control. If you don't want that control, then give it to your kids. There's nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely fine. But I don't know more details of your situation, so I can't give you a more comprehensive suggestion on what's probably the best thing for you to do. I suggest that you reach back out to me and let me know so we can share online with everybody in the world, right? Last question. I live in San Francisco. I'm turning 18 in 5 days. Congratulations. When I turn 18, I want to go live with my boyfriend in San Jose. Wow. I'm going to drive to him, but my car and phone are in my parents' name. They gave them to me. If I go with him, can they take my stuff away from me? Is there a legal document that prevents me from taking my stuff? Okay, so you're turning 18 and you're ready to get out of the house. I get it. That sounds amazing. But you're gonna go live with your boyfriend, okay? First, I'm not gonna give you relationship advice or tell you if this is a smart move to make, but if I were your attorney, I would want to make sure that you're well taken care of. So first question I have is, do you have a job secured? Does your boyfriend have a job secured? Your parents can't necessarily take your possessions away, but they most certainly can cut you off. And they will. If they think you're independent and you're doing this out of spite to them, oh yeah, they're gonna cut you off, man. They're gonna cut off the credit card. They're gonna cut off your phone bill. Now imagine living life with your own phone bill, with your own car payments, with your own credit card. At the age of 18, you don't have a college degree. You don't have a lot going for you in terms of getting a good, steady, well-paid job. You're going to feel that struggle and that burn. You might even have to take on more debt, more credit card debt, more student loan debt. So I would just use this as a warning, whether maybe your parents are bad people and yeah, you should be getting away from them. I don't know your situation. I'm not going to judge you, but I'm giving you a fair warning that leaving your family that's giving you some kind of financial security, you better have a plan on how you're going to give yourself that same level of security. Okay. I'm sure when you live with your parents, if something happens to you, they're taking care of your healthcare bills. They're taking care of your health insurance. I'm sure if your parents love them and you move out, even if you spite them, they're still not going to hate you and they'll still continue to give you health insurance or something like that. But be very careful. Be very grateful. They're working their butts off to survive in the Bay Area and you are about to leave them and maybe spite them. Have you talked with them about this? Do they approve it? It sounds like they don't, especially if you're worried that they're going to take your possessions away from you. Maybe they threaten they'll take your phone or whatever. Take your phone with you when you go. How are they going to get it back from you? They can't sue you for it, that's for sure. They're not going to sue you for it. That's expensive. But I think that you should be wise on your financial decisions and repercussions of this. If they want to not pay for your health insurance, they don't have to. You're 18, you're an adult. Go give yourself your own health insurance. Maybe you're young and you feel you don't need it, but then you get in that car accident and your car insurance is only going to cover so much, right? If you go on Covered California, if you go on Medi-Cal or anything like that, it's expensive. It's still not cheap, right? Insurance isn't cheap. So just keep that in mind. Where is your money going to come from? Where is your financial support going to come from? What are your plans for school, for your career, for your job? You're living with your boyfriend and you're spiting your parents at a very young age. That's what I believe. Even if they're agreeing with it or not, if they're pushing you out, then shame on them because it's not cheap to live together. And I hope you and your boyfriend have been together a lot longer than 2 years in order for you to feel comfortable to go live with him. That's just my relationship advice. Again, I'm an attorney, not a psychologist. So take it what you will, right? Okay, that's all of our questions for today. I hope you guys are doing very well and more power to all of you. Stay safe, get some fresh air. Talk to you next week.